Live and on demand from the Chautauqua Audio Works studios in downtown Jamestown. This is your source for breaking news.
Happening now, a tractor-trailer driver stopped by state police is busted with over 3 times the blood alcohol limit for commercial drivers. We get an inside tour of the Jamestown Brewing Company.
And I'm Dakota Hunter in the First Defense Weather Center. Well, it's partly sunny for today. That's the good news, and temperatures will moderate just a little bit, but that white stuff comes back into the forecast for tomorrow. Yeah, I'm sorry. We'll talk about it coming up.
And Chautauqua County Sheriff Joe Gerasi joins us live in studio. We're also taking your comments in our new and noteworthy segment. That's News Now for Wednesday, April 18th, 2018.
Live and on demand from the Chautauqua Audio Works studios in downtown Jamestown. This is your source for breaking news. WNY News Now.
Thanks for joining us. Good Thursday to you. I'm Justin Gould. You're looking live at the 3rd Street camera right outside of our downtown studios. It's a cold 30 degrees with overcast skies. A rundown of all the stories you need to know is moments away. But first, we turn to Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter, who's standing by with a first look at our weather. Hey, Dakota.
Hey, good Wednesday, Justin, and good Wednesday, everybody. It's hump day. We made it through half of the week. That's good. But hey, at least we're done with precipitation for at least a little while today. Let's go right to the Viper radar, and I'll show you that there is nothing going on across the region. That is the good news. So we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on that. Now, I want to take you through one of the in-house computer models that we run here in the Weather Center. It's called the RPM. It stands for Rapid Precision Mesoscale. And you can see here today, the clouds will be the story throughout probably the day. And then there's this breaking line right here. So we'll probably see full sunshine later in the afternoon. But peek back to the west here. You can see this line of precipitation down to our west. I think that may come in here early throughout the day, probably early throughout the night, and then going into tomorrow. I got to bring snow back in the forecast. We'll talk about this a little bit later on. But to break down the forecast, we had a chance for a few snow showers early throughout the day. Otherwise, we'll see some partial sunshine and not as cold. 41 to 46 with a west wind of around 5 to 10 miles per hour. And look at the sunset over 8 o'clock now. So we're adding more time to sunset. We'll break down that Quick Solution 7-day, and we'll talk about the snow that comes our way for tomorrow in that full weather segment a little bit later on.
All right, Dakota, thank you. A story that's trending on WNYNewsNow.com right now. A Missouri tractor-trailer driver is behind bars after New York State police busted him driving drunk over 3 times the legal limit for commercial drivers. 37-year-old Charles Carew was stopped on I-86 near Olean. Troopers report they observed the man showing signs of intoxication. After Carew failed a field sobriety test, he was placed under arrest. At the Olean State Police Barracks, he registered a breath test of .15. The legal limit for commercial drivers nationwide is .04%. The man was arraigned and remanded to Cattaraugus County Jail. And on Tuesday, WNY News Now was granted exclusive access to what will be the city's first microbrewery. Our Ryan Hedrick spoke with the president of the company.
Justin, thank you. That building behind me will be the city's first brewery, the microbrewery, to launch in July. We spoke to John McClellan Sr., the president of the company. He said he is ecstatic to get going in the summertime.
Yeah, it's been a fairly long road, but we're so looking forward to becoming part of the culture down here in Jamestown and bringing our beer to the community and our food. And so we're very excited about this. We came down and looked at the market. We looked at the demographics, and we know we have great products, and so we're looking forward to making it happen.
Now, this will not be like the Southern Tier Brewery. In fact, to the contrary, the folks here at the Jamestown Brewery really believe that there's room for 2 breweries in this community. Of course, Southern Tier Brewery expanding, and McClellan told me that his business model will be a little bit different.
Guys have a great product, and they've certainly done their laps as far as getting to the size they want to be. We know exactly how big our market is, and we don't mind being the little fly on the wall to their being the big behemoth. That's, hats off to them for doing what they did.
Now you can read more on this story at WNYNewsNow.com, reporting from the corner of 2nd and Washington, where the revitalization is underway. I'm Ryan Hedrick, WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
Looking good, Ryan. Thank you. The brewery is expected to open this July. And the Chautauqua Mall Bon-Ton store is one of 200 nationwide that will close, part of a huge liquidation by the retail company. The 160-year-old department store chain confirmed the news on Wednesday. Bon-Ton filed for bankruptcy back in February. They have 8 locations here in Western New York, including the Chautauqua Mall in Lakewood. On Monday, the department store chain was up for auction, but the only bidders were liquidators. That was according to a report by Rutgers. In total, there are 260 stores nationwide. And good news for parents, bad news for dentists. Fewer dental cavities are found in kids and young adults today, but some minority groups are still at risk. Our AD Simcoe explains.
A new study from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention says that young people ages 2 through 19 have fewer dental cavities. That number dropped from 50% in 2012 to just over 43% in 2016. The downside of this study found that young members of some minority communities, Hispanic and African American, continue to have the highest number of cavities as well as the highest number of untreated cavities. Here are a few tips to good dental health. The CDC says have your child visit a dentist for a first checkup by the time they turn 1. Speak to the dentist about the child using fluoride. Make sure the child is brushing with the right tools and using good technique. For today's Health Minute, I'm AD Simcoe.
AD, thank you. Coming up on the other side, we're hearing from you. Let us know what you think about these stories and more in our new and noteworthy segment. Also, Chautauqua County Sheriff Joe Girassi joined us right here. Stay with us.
Where coverage comes first. You're watching WNY News Now.
The Main Landing Restaurant. Excellent service, awesome food, and a beautiful view.
Everything's made fresh here. We love to be outside, and it's nice inside if it's raining, so we have a choice.
Locals and non-locals agree that the Main Landing is quickly becoming a destination.
It's just so casual, and just the food is amazing.
I love the hamburgers.
But I really like the tuna I had.
The Main Landing Restaurant. Excellent service, awesome food, and a beautiful view.
I just love to be with the dogs, and I like to do them one at a time. They don't wait for 5 hours in my shop. We have full groom, which includes everything from A to Z, nails, of course brushing, any trimming that needs to be done. I do offer teeth brushing, which is a little extra. So if he takes me 2 hours, it's $40. If he takes me 3 hours, I still keep it down. As long as the dog comes back happy and not at the door, I'm happy.
And welcome back to News Now. It's time for what you're thinking about in our new and noteworthy segment. Today we have a special guest, Chautauqua County Sheriff Joe Girassi. Good afternoon, Sheriff. Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you for having me here. It's great to be here.
You know, it's an exciting time, really, for you as you hope to continue your journey as sheriff. You know, last week you announced that you're going to run again. I guess, you know, to start off, what was going through your mind when you kind of came to that conclusion that you're going to have another bid for sheriff?
Well, I don't think it ever left my mind that I was going to do that, but I wanted to take the time to just discuss it with my family and make sure it was the right thing to do. I have a passion for the job. I'm been with the sheriff's office 39 years. And look forward to continuing some of the things that we started. And
we want to hear, the scanner chatter.
Yeah,
it might be great. Let's just run out and
put it out live.
Do a show and break news all in the same breath. But you know, I know your family is real important to you. And you have a daughter that plays hockey. She's doing so well. Pippi and Joey's doing well at the Southern Tier Express. You have other children they play such a critical role in your life. Their input, how valuable was that during this process to seek a 7th term?
Well, my wife's input was probably the most important, but yeah, I wanted to make sure that everybody was comfortable with Dad being away as much as it forces me to be away, and they're good. You know, they're very supportive, and I love what I do. I'm good at what I do. Very progressive, proactive, professional agency, and I'm really proud of the men and women that work for the Sheriff's Office. And we have a variety of functions that we deliver to the taxpayers and the visitors of Chautauqua County, and we've got more to do.
You know, Joe, one of the main concerns for a lot of the voters here is the Drug Task Force. You have the Southern Tier Regional Drug Task Force, and the Jamestown Metro Drug Task Force has their own thing. We'd like to see, obviously, more collaboration. In an ideal society, I guess everybody would get along, but what is that process like? And as you and your opponent go back and forth, that obviously is going to come up. How will you address that?
Well, it's simple. We developed the Southern Tier Regional Drug Task Force to prevent that kind of thing from happening, and it functioned for a very long time, and funding became an issue. We were funded, in fact, the first year that Southern Tier Regional Drug Task Force was developed, I think it was 1991, we had a $500,000 grant from the state, which brought people to the table. And so, in my opinion, that's the best system. We want it to continue that way. The city chose to pull away from the task force and develop their own, and we can't stop that from happening, but that's not an ideal world.
How expensive is drug enforcement?
It is expensive because it's manpower dependent, because you're doing case investigations, surveillances, developing the evidence that you need to make cases. So you put quite a bit of effort into it and quite a bit of money.
Now, your opponent has obviously law enforcement experience, and you two worked closely for a long time. Mr. Quattrone was with the agency for a long time. Give us some insight as to who he is, what kind of officer, what kind of lieutenant.
Well, that's for him to say. My role in this is to share with the public what I've done and what I intend to do in the future, and then they have a decision to make.
Does running against a former high-ranking sheriff's deputy, is that a challenge, you think? Or?
Again, to me, it is no different than whomever might run. I run on my record, and I have established a considerable amount of accomplishments over the years, and I'm not saying I take credit for every bit of that myself. I've got tremendous staff, but under my leadership, we've done great things, and there's more to come.
Yeah, I do want to get into one thing about the budget. Maybe we could do that on the other side, because law enforcement, we do, okay. Law enforcement is always asked to do more with less, and for some reason, politicians out there, if you're watching, please stop cutting budgets of law enforcement and first responders. It's tough. It's tough to function, save lives, enforce the law, keep the public safe when you're asked to do it with little money, smaller amounts of money every year. How is that? Because for 20 years, this has happened to you. And I haven't seen you come to the media and complain about it, but...
No, you manage with what you have. You make your best pitch to the legislators, in our case, the county executive, and they've been very supportive. I mean, we've had our challenges. For a couple of years, we went through some really difficult times. I believe that those times were not necessary, but other influences, political influences. However, the legislature has been very supportive. We do face some challenges because we can't control the population of the jail. As sheriff, I can't put people in and I can't let them out. Right. So my goal and role is to work with the system to try to build a better mousetrap. But overall, what you want versus what you get is always different. But you have to put something forth that is affordable for your community, and understand that sometimes the taxpayers can't bear that burden.
You brought up something on the phone in an interview last week that was shocking me. You said actually your population is down from recent months. Why and how much? How down?
Well, today's count was, I believe, in the 250s, 257. That could change as we speak here today, as people come in and might be released. But we were actually over 300 in, I believe, October, November. We're trying to evaluate why. We do have dips in the months that go, and that has a lot to do with many things, including the court processes and And arrests, the number of arrests that take place are more frequent during the better weather, which we will get to someday, I'm told.
Sure.
And
did you hear that?
So there's obviously more activity. We have more tourism, and this is a big tourism county. So we're looking at that. In fact, I talked to one of my people that does analysis of data today and said, we're trying to nail this down as to what's going on. I think, and I've spoken about this publicly, right-sizing the jail population, and there's people that definitely are there that shouldn't be there, and there are people that are there that need to be in state prison. And we're seeing, at least in my opinion, more of the state prison being used by the county court. And that, to me, that's a good thing. There's more to offer in programs and rehab, and there's people that need to be punished to that level.
I wanted to check in on the comments real quick. I don't know if our producer can bring that up, but Tina Marie on Facebook is asking, what will you do if you're re-elected? Specifically, she wants to know, what would you do to bring public safety and integrity back to the county?
Well, that's a question that I don't know that there's an issue. Our integrity is one of the founding words in our mission statement, and
right.
I pride myself in that. We're a very professional agency. We have 5 of the 5 available accreditations. 5 of our divisions are accredited. So I guess I'm dumbfounded because we have a high level of integrity.
Well, I mean, the beautiful thing about this platform is people, can express, and Tina Marie weighs in frequently on the integrity. There's a lot of skepticism on people's part about the whole system. We see a lot of child abuse. I know you guys don't always have a solution to it, nor do you have a hand in it. I mean, people are people. I will say this: the bottom line is, what's best for the county, what's working or what's been working for the county. Voters need to make that choice. They need to let their voice be heard.
Right, and a lot of people need to physically make that choice to go out and vote.
Sure.
Which we're totally see. Coming up in just a bit, more of Sheriff Joseph Gerasi, but first, Dakota Hunter's forecast. And keep asking questions. We'll pull the sheriff after this.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
Do news like no one else. Investigations that get results.
There was a bunch of kids over here playing football, and the ball kicked over onto her. She picked it up and took a butcher knife, stabbed it. Cops wouldn't do nothing.
WNY News Now investigates, standing up for you while holding the powerful accountable. If you have a problem, we're here to help. WNY News Now. WNY News Now is sponsored by Chautauqua Audio Works, 3335 South Roberts Road in Fredonia. More than a music store. Call 679-4333. Call now, 679-4333. You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first. Now, your first defense forecast with Dakota Hunter.
Hey you! Welcome back to News Now. Let's kick off the weather segment with the Sky Vision Camera Network. You're looking live at Warren from on top of the Warren City Bank in downtown Warren, and that's actually when I first put this camera up, I actually thought this was a bug, but it's actually not. It's actually a water droplet, and you're seeing kind of like the reflection there. But it's 34 degrees in Warren right now, and at least it's a little bit warmer than it was yesterday. Onto the main graphics, and we'll take a look at Doppler vision. You can see nothing really going on. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on that because nothing is really going on, and there's just a 3-hour time lapse. Again, nothing really showing up, just a typical ground clutter pattern out. That's the windmills appearing on the radar once again. Now, for tomorrow, you're not going to like this for tomorrow. Yeah, the temperatures go back into the 30s and snow! What? Yes, we're going to see more snow once again. Yeah, yes, I am sorry, but we've got more snow coming our way, and the wind shifts out of the north at around 10 to 20 miles per hour. Now, since you know that, let's time it out here on FutureScan. Now, earlier I showed you the RPM model. This is the other in-house model that we run. It's called the ViperCast. And we're going to take you up to about 7 o'clock tonight. You can see the model trying to paint a few rain showers. I don't think that's going to materialize. But here comes this next band of precipitation that comes our way out of the west. Now, initially it may start out as a wintry mix. And then as the temperature continues to fall, it'll probably turn over to all snow. Now, I think the greatest overall accumulations for snow is probably going to be right along the hilly terrain, as they often are. That's going to be probably the greatest chance for seeing the highest amounts of accumulation. And then everybody else, and again, this is for the morning commute, so there's going to still be snow for the morning commute. Snow will continue throughout the day tomorrow. A few pockets of moderate a few pockets of moderate snow starting to come our way. And again, so talking about the snow totals, how much are we going to pick up? Well, this goes from tonight into tomorrow, probably an average 3 to 6. That's what I'm thinking, yes, for tonight and tomorrow, an average 3 to 6 inches, with the highest amounts probably confined right to the hilly terrain near the Chautauqua Ridge. I think that's probably going to be where the highest amounts of snow will be. Let's talk about the future. Next 7 days are coming up, brought to you by Quick Solutions. And 37 for Friday, a few rain and snow showers at that point. But the big turnaround comes our way for the weekend when we go into the 50s. And I put 62 back in the forecast for next Tuesday. That is going to feel nice with plentiful sunshine. And just for tomorrow, you just need to do whatever you can just to stay warm. So do your dance. News Now will continue right after the break.
First Defense Weather is sponsored by Quick Solutions of Jamestown. Count on Quick Solutions for printing, copying, mass mailings, and so much more. Part of your team. Learn more at QuickSolutionsUSA.com. That's QuickSolutionsUSA.com. You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
It's tax time, so get to Express Bike and Auto in Jamestown for all of your vehicle needs. Service, inspection, vehicle sales, they do it all. For all of your automotive, motorcycle, and ATV service needs, Express Bike and Auto even offers financing. Your true one-stop vehicle shop is Express Bike and Auto in Jamestown. They're located at 1761 Foot Avenue Extension next to Quick Fill. Express Bike and Auto in Jamestown. Stop looking, start saving today.
Where coverage comes first. You're watching WNY News Now. You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
And welcome back to News Now. Sheriff Joe Gerasi is sticking around for our second segment here, as we're talking pretty much everything under the sun, or today it's pretty cloudy, so I guess there is no sun. Taking a look at your comments, David says, Joe is doing the best he can with what he has to work with. Keep up the good work, you got my vote. Wanted to touch in with Wendy. She says, I hear Joe Gerasi and I see integrity. Ashley is chiming in on Facebook. He has done a lot for our county and will continue to do that. Vote Joe Gerasi. If you have any questions for the sheriff, post them right now, and we will see what he has to say.
You know, that's the cool thing about these instant comments, the pulse of the community, because the news media can speculate all we want, bloggers can speculate all they want. Believe me, there's a difference between the two. But when you get to what it means for the community to have the sheriff's office have the ability to not only be law enforcement but EMS at the same time, that's a critical part. I don't know if a lot of agencies are doing that in the country, Joe, let alone the county. How did that process come to be in that vision? Why don't you share that with us?
Well, it actually started to a small degree back in the 90s when I was 96. I instituted the use of automated external defibrillators, AEDs, in the cars, and they were not commonplace. And I actually got the idea from reading about a community in Rochester, Minnesota, where they reduced the death rate for sudden cardiac arrest by having the police officers trained in utilizing AEDs. So we started then. And the legislature was very supportive, and we had private foundations and private sector and private individuals giving money to help us equip our cars. But as we progressed, I started listening to the number of emergency calls that our volunteer fire departments, and they're nothing but a blessing to this county. It's unbelievable. So those that are even thinking about it, join a fire department and give your time to a worthy cause. But they're struggling because the regulations of the state keeps increasing, and quite frankly, volunteerism is going down in this country, and it's unfortunate. So when I was hearing 2 and 3 fire departments dispatched to get 1 EMT, I said, people are waiting too long. And it's not the fault of the fire department. But their EMTs have jobs, and they work sometimes out of the districts, and they struggle for EMTs. And we're seeing the numbers starting to come back, which is awesome. So I said, look, we might be able to fill that gap. And so at least initially to get to the scene and start providing care until higher level personnel can show up. And so I said, we're going to do this. We're going to start a voluntary program, and you lead by example. So I went through the EMT training myself, which is something that I'm so thankful that I did. It's been unbelievable. And now we have probably in the range of 20 deputies that are trained, excuse me, but I've also made it part of the Sheriff's Academy. So all new law enforcement officers that are going into the field, whether they end up with my office or they end up in another police department, they will be receiving their EMT training.
Share with us the new Sean Williams epidemic, because there have been a series of epidemics here in the county that have affected residents, and AIDS and heroin almost go hand in hand, but this was an extra special one because you were confronted with not only national media, international media when this hit. What are your recollections about that and what it did to us?
It was unfortunate that it brought an unfavorable amount of unfavorable attention to just a fantastic community, Chautauqua County. I've devoted my whole life here, and but what happened in that case, it probably wouldn't have happened in other places. But actually, the health department saw an alarming connection between victims and a single perpetrator, and had it been in a bigger community, that connection may not have happened. But I recall the day that I was actually approached by the head of the health department, the commissioner, and said, I need to talk to you, need your help. And I said, what is it? We have somebody who is knowingly spreading HIV. And I said, okay, who is it? I can't tell you because of confidentiality. Right. And I said, well, how about the victims? Can we talk to the victims? No, I can't tell you that either. And I said, how can I help you here? So obviously that little episode we worked through and went to the court for a court order and saw the connection, and eventually were able to release his information to the public. And then we had many other victims come forward here in the New York City area. So it was a very difficult time.
Those experiences, and the reason I'm tying it in is because those experiences, you cannot be confronted with anything more horrific as a sheriff than that. I mean, did you learn from that? And what did you learn from that?
Well, the investigation part was difficult because although you'd say it's police work 101, we're investigating, we had to deal with confidentiality laws. We had to deal with underage victims, and we had to deal with, I call it the round peg in a square hole. There wasn't a law that directly was applicable to what was done there. So we were trying to utilize other sections of the law in conference with the district attorney's office and the law department, because we had this other factor, and that was releasing his name to the public, which was, I'll never forget that press conference. It was wall-to-wall cameras from all over.
Right.
And I say all over, it was international. And then the shock that somebody actually released the name of someone who was HIV positive. So the police work part was basic police work. But what I learned from that is sometimes you got to step out of your comfort zone to get the right result. And in this case, we didn't charge him with the kind of crimes that today would be charged, but we started the process of looking at the law and saying it has to grow with the new challenges that the society's facing.
What do you want the community to know as you seek your 7th term?
Well, I think the most important thing is that I've been very productive. I still have the fire in the belly. I love what I do, and I want to continue to serve the Chautauqua County residents.
All right. Sheriff, thank you for being on today. We really appreciate it. And I wanted to just check in with the comments one more time. Let's see. Kevin is saying, well said about the volunteer world. The sheriff is a huge asset to the county. It seems like you have a lot of fans. Did you tell them all to watch?
No.
It was funny. We didn't tell anybody Joe was coming on until about 10 minutes before the show. We posted an article at WNYNewsNow.com, so that helps. Yeah, people are weighing in. And again, what's shared from the heart reaches the heart. And when you're devoted to the county, it's going to be, I'm looking forward to the race. It's interesting. Some of these races get ugly. I hope that's not the case here. I don't know. Politics is politics. But
yeah, and that's the least favorite part of my job because I stay very, very, very non-political.
Right.
And, excuse me. But this is, how the sheriff gets his or her job.
Is this race going to get nasty, Sheriff?
Not from my end, it won't, because I've never run that way, nor do I intend to.
All right. Sheriff Joe Girassi, Ryan, thanks for being here. That's all the time we have for today. Of course, news continues online at WNYNewsNow.com. Have a great day.